I'm reporting in from Johannesburg, South Africa. So it's a few hours later. And
Mm-hmm.
but you're well aware of that. Actually spoke of you yesterday during a meeting that we had here regarding BFN and some connects you have here on the continent. So look forward to seeing what develops from those.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, let's get to it, Tim. So now look, don't hold back now. No punches need to be reserved. So go ahead and in the full spirit in this conversation and give all truth. But we're gonna start off easy. Who is Tim Fitzgerald?
Tim Fitzgerald is a metamorphosis of many a people. Tim Fitzgerald was a person who grew up in the bowels of Southeast Washington, who was a member of some of the crews over there in the streets. Had my first child at 15 years old.
Okay.
Was out in the streets doing a lot of things, but also got a lot of help. Got a lot of help from a lot of people, from teachers, from mentors, and some of them you've even met. I believe you've met Mr. Flowers. So these are people who have shaped and molded me, my thinking, my mindset, my wisdom, my bishop, my apostle, my pastors. All of them, have helped me to, come out of where I was in my thinking. My thinking was stinking, and I thought I could do some things that from the drug scene to the fighting scene, many things that were in the back in the day were never really conducive to success, but had the illusion of it. Okay, and so although I was smart, in school and all of that, I had to fight every day. So
Okay.
that
Yeah.
put a lot of people. You live in my neighborhood and couldn't fight. You wasn't coming outside. Okay?
Yeah.
So as I went through school and got out of trouble and got out of all those things, selling that stuff to our people, my mindset changed. I started looking at us from a focused perspective of business, from a focused perspective of understanding what we could be, becoming that dreamer again. When I was out there sleeping in places that I didn't have any business, I would look at God and say, are you up there? Do you see this? I was fiddler on the roof, kind of,
Okay.
But
Yeah.
moving right along, I still got the same friends I had since the fourth grade. Okay, we're in our 60s. We're still friends today. But shaping me going to school, I just couldn't make it because I didn't make it through school because I couldn't leave my child. Couldn't leave my child, man. It was my responsibility, and actually, she turned my world around because it was a little girl.
They'll do that. Yeah.
And even today, she still calls me daddy.
Yeah.
Like a little girl. But in my change and my metamorphosis, I had to learn how to be a professional, how to curve my language, how to manage my speech, how to pray in my spirit, how to look at things from a different perspective, because I was lost. And that's why I have a passion for a lot of young folks today. One of the reasons I've run some of the apprenticeship programs and things that I've done is because I know what it is to be one of these guys. I got in trouble young too. So, as I got older, I started to look at the professional world. I was one of the original kids in the stay in school program here. Long as I was in school, I had a job. I worked at you might not remember this, but when it was called Health, Education, and Welfare.
Okay. Yeah.
Now Health and Human Services.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
So, I worked there. I was in computers for a long time. If you look at my yearbook, it was computer science. So I was in computers for over 30 years.
Okay.
I cut my teeth over to fleet with technology in vehicles because the technology was already there.
Mm.
Okay, it was already there. And in terms of that, how do we have open architecture where we can start to feed these vehicles and look at things from a different perspective? So I ended up working for United States Customs Service before it became Homeland Security. Spent 14 years there. I became a manager, supervisor, then manager, of one of the largest data centers, in the East. Ended up going on to United States State Department, where I spent years. I was in charge of telecommunications to embassies around the world. Spent some time doing that all the way through 2000. Okay, through Y2K and all of that.
Yeah.
And but then came, what can I do with this today? Because I started getting a big head. I opened up my own company called Source One Technology.
Is that still alive?
It is now Principal Holdings.
Okay. Okay.
Because I laid it dormant for so long, and what I had to do was, in part of my reimaging of myself, I had to continue to reimage to make sure that I was hitting the point. Learn something critical about myself in my life and how to apply it. I had to make a change. So that's what I do today, even at my ripe old age. And I won't call it old, but I'll just say my season in life.
There you go. There you go. So look, Tim, you're getting ahead of me, man. You're answering all my questions already. You need to slow down, young fella. All right. This is what you do. No, it's all good. It's all good. No, this is perfect. Look, many of us regularly discuss how fleet was not on our professional radar. And, you just giving us some of your background and the flavor of it, and the fact that you found yourself in the automotive space, but specifically, how did fleet find you?
I was a consultant at and that was my next move, was I became a consultant at DMG Maximus, David M. Griffith Maximus, which was a consulting company here. I worked for Paul Lawyer, okay, out in Rockville, over here in Maryland. And, it was a good experience. But as I started to get into what the fleet space was, because it was basically an open consultant piece, I started to look at it and say, why am I taking all of this and giving it back to, and no offense to Paul was good to me, why am I taking all this, giving it back to these guys, when in essence, not only am I doing the work, performing the work, managing the work, reporting the work, but also I have a different thought process in terms of how this can be done, rather than the skit that they were giving me, the script that they were giving me to do it. And, they were looking at making it residual, the gift that keeps on giving. I'd like to concentrate on solutions. Okay. Right. I want to make you a fisher of men rather than give you a couple of fish to eat today.
There you go.
So in terms of that, I met with OZ Fuller down at DC Water, and I did some work for them independently. Now, needless to say, I've had my scraps. Okay, which means I'm an individual now. I'm no longer working with Paul and them, but now I have an individual consulting contract. I'm working with these guys, but I got people looking at me, scrutinizing me like as if I stole something from their brother. Why does he have this contract? He doesn't have any experience. What is he doing here? I want to see his paperwork. What does his resume look like? What has he been? Why are we paying him this much money? All of that. And even though I knew I could do it more than anything else, I didn't know how to mentally handle the scrutiny at the time. I was young, full of myself, big head, nice car, suits every day, blah, blah, blah. You know, V in my back, you know, all of
Yeah.
it, all of it, you know what I mean? I was full of myself. But instead of thinking mentally how I can manage myself inside of this, I went too far and I got angry and, you know, and I started pushing back instead of working through.
Mm,
And many of us have to learn how to work through instead of push back, you
right.
know?
Yeah. So what you're mentioning right now brings this question about, and I think this is a common ground for a lot of us in the industry, although there are not a lot of us in the industry. But as a black man in the fleet industry,
Mm-hmm.
what are the positive and or negative experiences that have impacted you the most?
Oh, wow. Wow. I'll start with a few of the negative ones. You know, I was some years ago. I became a featured speaker at some fleet events, and I would speak at these events, and I'd be sitting up front with everybody else. I'm probably one of the only ink spots in the crowd. Okay, and unfortunately, you still have pockets of this misnomer that we don't do management, we can't manage people, just like the quarterback in the NFL. He can't be a quarterback, right? He can't lead people. I was so insulted when I'm waiting for them to call me and my bio's not up on the screen yet. And this guy walks up to me and says, "We need mustard on table 4." Okay. And
Yo.
yeah, then he comes back and he repeats himself. And again, it takes everything. You know, I get up to go on stage with a tear in my eye because it tells me that, you know, they're not ready for us in prime time, some of them.
Mm,
Others don't have a problem. But when
right.
my bio goes up on the screen and everything else, you know, and you've seen me before, I normally start off with a joke. You know, I
Hmm.
gotta talk. I gotta have somebody laughing to engage the audience and open it up and let them. You know, so when I went up on stage, it was amazing to me. I looked back at the guy and said, you know, we need mustard on table 5 too. No offense to anybody, but only he would know what I was talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But that was a negative issue. Some of the positive ones have come from some of the same folks, Caucasian folks, Asian folks. You know, everybody has a perspective on blacks in fleet, blacks in basically every culture. And we're sometimes looked at as lazy, you know,
Hmm.
as you know, the advancement of we all part of NAACP,
Hmm.
and we all do, you know, it's because we have been placed in certain places that, you know, it's not because we're qualified, we just have to check the box.
Right.
But some of them pulled me ahead in ways that I would have never imagined, and I honor them because of that, because they saw something in me that I couldn't see myself. You know, I always thought it would be a fight. I've had to learn that sometimes it's not a fight.
Mm, mm,
Sometimes people just don't know what to ask or how
right.
to approach.
Yeah.
So they may come out in a negative, almost a condescending way. But we have to learn how to manage ourselves. We have to manage ourselves in the moment. And I didn't say it was easy. You know, I'll never say it's easy. But we've got to learn how to really, really, you know, not only just come back, but how to basically go through our minds and say in the annals of our minds and say, that's not what that really meant. Here's what I can respond with in a better way.
Right. Right.
Those were positive ones, the ones who took me and taught me and said, that's not what that meant. I'm on the other side of the fence, and that's not what that meant. But I understand how you could take that the wrong way.
So you're really describing, I think, basic human connection and the realization from two parties that communication is a process, and there are times we need to step back and keep our eyes a little wider open instead of zeroing in on something that may or may not be true.
Absolutely, because I always tell folks, say we got more in common than we do in different.
All day.
I've never seen a man go to the bathroom a different way. If you do, tell me about it. You know what I mean? I haven't seen it. So, and blood still warm is red, right? No matter who you are,
All day.
Thurgood Marshall, I think, penned it when he said a snake, black or white, is gonna bite, and you're gonna bleed red, and that ain't gonna ever change.
That's right.
When he was talking about Clarence Thomas. So I think that a lot of what we have to do is we've got to make sure that our minds are at the top, and that we're managing ourselves in the moments, in the heat of moments. We can't change what someone thinks of us. Only by how we live can we do that. How we live. We can't always be the partying type. I like parties. We can't always be the unprofessional. Yeah, I like going off the script, every now and then. But we also got to know how, when, and what to do, and then how to pull others with us. Because right beside you is somebody else who doesn't understand.
Right.
And I give you credit for the leadership in terms of this, because a lot of us won't take that role. It's not an easy one. I can see the hair jumping off your head now. It's not, and most people don't know how to accept what it is they're doing as purpose.
Right.
Going through this Black Fleet thing, it has helped me to understand that not only did I see it when I met others like Al Curtis and and yourself out there, it was like sitting in an audience, man. It's 4,000 or 5,000 people out there, man, and ain't but 50 of us, even Black.
Right.
Yeah. And then we walked past and we just nodded at each other. Hey, how you doing? That's an acknowledgement, I know we're the same color, but my God, is there anything else?
Yeah. We can rap, bro. Come on, sis. I know you want to know where the soul food joint is tonight. I know you want to know.
Yeah, I put on deodorant. So a lot of that makes a difference to us, man. And I think that right now, Fleet is beginning to start to evolve and turn into the right direction. Many of us as Blacks are leaders of municipal fleets around this country. There are 39,000 public fleets in North America. So inside of that, we have the knowledge, we have the institutional knowledge, we have the innovations. We've got a lot with us in terms of it all. But the key that I see, and I'm going to go straight to the crux of it all,
please,
is that the wallets don't open as well for us.
Okay. Now, hold on, Tim. There you go. Getting ahead of me now. All right. So, but let me just phrase this question, because where you're going is literally sitting in the middle of this discussion that I wanted to have with you in the first place. When it comes to equity for Black professionals within the fleet and commercial vehicle spaces, what is it that the industry is missing? What does it not see?
From my perspective, okay, a lot of them don't see the engineers in us. The engineers in us say that we can do technical specifications. We know how these vehicles ought and need to operate. We know how they should be designed and built. Okay? That's one side of it. On the business of it all, if I'm walking into you, you got to realize most of your manufacturers are in middle America where we aren't. Okay, and I'll keep them nameless because they haven't done anything to me, not at all. But when they're in Middle America, there's a trust factor. Okay, and then you've got to realize there's a chain. Nobody wants to let go of that chain that's been up there for a long time, keeping you out of the gate, because it's access to capital that's going to make this all work from an equity perspective. It's that access to capital. We can know of also companies that we know that are like us, but we won't deal with them. We won't give them an opportunity. But somehow, on the other end of things, when we see somebody of a different persuasion, our wallets fly open. The money just jumps out. Then when you see me, all the presidents are blind. They got sunshades on in the wallet. They can't come out.
Right.
They haven't seen the light of day in forever. The issue becomes, how do we break the cycle of this disbelief that we can do it? To give you a perspective, I just had dinner with, and I can speak on them. I just had dinner with Nomad. Nomad's in Montana. We built some of the first intelligent utility vehicles in the country. Okay, where they drive, and they actually have breadcrumb technology in them, where they actually give you the internet as they drive. They create a roadmap. Okay, we did that for DC Water some years ago. We built command centers. We built all kinds of vehicles to manage the city. My hand got slapped so many times for doing this until they saw the product. And then on top of the product, they saw that, wait a minute, he even got grant money to do this. So this is not all on our dime. Oh, wow, he's a star. Yet at the same time, I'm questioned about, how did this come about? You spent all this money on this, blah, 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 blah. And I will say that a young lady by the name of Yvette Downs sat there and said, no, the grant money has already come in for us. We're in a good space. These, and then the news, Channel 4 News, NBC News here did a story on the vehicles, said, wow, these guys can do number 2 in the bathroom in the middle of the night, and it doesn't smell. It does this. They can actually come in out of the cold, get some coffee, sit down, eat some food. They can also, it's soundproof, so they can sit there and have a meeting. You know what I mean? It's wow. They got computers in here. They got offices in here. Blah, blah, because we had some roads collapse in the city.
Okay.
And it was a beautiful thing. Shamari Stone at Channel 4 News did at the time, did the whole story on it all. Then all of a sudden, I told you that was great. I told you that stuff was going to be good. Man, you didn't believe me, did you? No, we didn't believe you. But then, Zay, there's also the alternative fuel space right now, which is hot. And I've worked with Optimus, Colin Holla, and those guys for years, putting B100. We got a B100 tank over in the city. We've had B100 vehicles so that we can save and help our folks. We're on the cutting edge of a lot of scientific breakthroughs.
Yes.
In our fleets and that sort of thing. I want folks to know that we're actually not only a part of it, but we're actually leaders in that space.
Come on, all day.
Okay, we're leaders in that space, and we understand, and we've done the studies. We have folks not only the Black Fleet Network, but our Greater Washington Clean Cities. We've been leading in this space for years.
Yes, shout out Antoine.
We're not looking for the recognition, but just recognize that we're there, and we've been there, and we know what we're doing, and we're pushing the envelope. And yes, we don't always get it right all the time, but we're not wasting your taxpayer dollars on getting it done. Okay? We partner with the federal government. We make sure that we cross the T's and dot I's. We bring in companies. For instance, I've had a company come in and teach my folks how to write our own grants. so
Right.
that we can be self-sufficient in this space. How we can make sure that we stay on top of the grants, money, putting people in business from what they're doing at work, but letting them go out to be business people as well. So for me, it's been a great experience. It's been a good thing for me. I dare to say that there aren't many that are willing to sacrifice from the space we're in, like yourself and myself, who, okay, I don't need all the money. I don't need all the fame, the glory. I really don't. I could stand behind the curtain and watch everybody do well, and I'm
Come
fine.
on. Come on.
I'm good.
Come on.
I know where my purpose fits, and
Yeah.
that's where the issue is. A lot of us, when that money gets on the table, we tend to lose it as if we've never seen those many zeros.
Mm.
No, my kids like steak and shrimp too. Okay. we all baloney. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing wrong with bologna, don't get me wrong, but we off of it. Okay. That's not the main course anymore. We have grown up in this space to the point where you've got to move out of the way, because you can't just pinch me for my information and then go use it as if it's yours.
Wow. Okay, you're leaning into you said several things and really answered this question already, but I think just to add a little more flavor to it, for those of us who are looking for longevity in this industry, what bits of game are you giving aside from what you've already spilled out on this here?
Technology is going to drive this industry now. Okay? Technology is what's driving the industry. It's big data, period. I don't care where you go. I've been to Australia, been to Spain, talking about the same things. Data. It's data that's coming out of that vehicle. Because what we want to get to, we don't want to stay in preventive maintenance. We want to get into the predictive maintenance space. Okay? I want to be able to predict how long is this vehicle going to last with all that it's doing. If it's running on a 16-hour program, okay, 6 days a week, how can I make it environmentally friendly? How can I put it in the right tool in the right hands the first time? How do I make these folks self-sufficient? Because some of them need to be able to take their vehicles home. Now, do they have everything they need to accomplish a job? And then all the systems that are out there, whether it's your CAD systems or your open architecture fleet management systems, I'm saying to you that this is where the industry is going, from metering, electric charging stations, to customer service. And let me say this, customer service is the worst I've ever seen it. I don't care what industry you're in this country. Okay?
Amen.
Amen. You can't get, and then and I'm not against anybody, because we're all from somewhere else. But why is our jobs overseas handling a customer that's here?
Right.
And we don't have development systems in place for vocational for the kids that are coming up.
No, Tim, what you're talking about is, so for so many generations, you heard about that American ingenuity and work ethic and, really admirable characteristics of somebody who employs themselves. But, to the point that you're starting to make, and forgive me for interrupting you, I think we've gotten lazy in a lot of ways,
Absolutely.
and that's not hating on anybody else anywhere else, because kudos to them for grinding.
No.
Because I'm a firm believer in the spoils these days
that's right.
are going to the one who's willing to do what nobody else is willing to do, which you referenced a little while ago via the word sacrifice. Right. But yeah, excuse me, you please continue.
No.
You touched the button.
Because Well, because from my perspective, it's the race. See, it's still the race. You know, the problem is we don't want to transfer the mantle, you
Mm,
know, on the one hand, but then on the other hand, there's not many folks willing to receive the mantle.
mm,
Okay?
mm,
Because when you go to hand this off, and I can say this from experience because, you know, I've had to, and I think that's the way God has made me that way because I can see through, you know, the shields and the mirrors and the windows of others who want to put up little shaky defensive mechanisms to say, I don't want to do this. No, no, no. Slim, you know, you out here selling that stuff and you think that's your way in? Or you doing
mm.
smash and grabs and you snatch and runs and that's your, don't you know they got a box for you, Slim? You know,
Yeah.
that box is business now. So,
Oh, been business.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Big
so
revenue.
let me
Big
help you, you
revenue.
know. And the
Yeah.
worst thing somebody can take away from you in your life is not your money, your time. It's
Agree.
something you can never get back.
That's right.
So from that perspective, we've lost our way because we don't know where our kids are. Let me
Mm,
just talk about us for a minute. We
please.
don't know where our kids are. We don't know what they're doing. Anytime you got 12 and 13-year-olds carjacking people, you got a whole nother issue out
Yeah.
here. You know?
Yeah.
And so and they're not made to go to school?
Right. Right.
No, no, no.
No, but
You
and again, there you go. You're talking about you, and forgive me for simplifying, but I see that as uh, uh, another indication of being lazy, right?
absolutely,
And and
absolutely.
and you know, government is what it is.
Hmm.
Lord
Yeah,
have mercy.
yeah,
And
yeah.
whatever that is, right?
Hmm.
But
But it's not
it
job.
it is
That,
it is not the government's job. It is not the
no,
school teacher's job.
no,
It is not
no,
the preacher's job. It is
no,
not the coach's job. It
no,
is not the
no.
supervisor's job to raise you, to refine you, to yeah,
To,
those people, those institutions should be support. Those are outsourced
hmm.
support systems,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And that's only
yeah.
if they're actually supportive. I would encourage somebody, if they're not supportive of you, don't deal
Hmm.
with it, and definitely don't
Yeah,
pour any money into it.
yeah,
But
you
see,
know, yeah, exactly.
we getting into stuff. You gonna have me
Yeah.
running for president. You gonna have me running for president, okay? But no, I mean, what happens at the house is huge, and I'm glad we're having this conversation because we and I appreciate your transparency in saying, look, let's talk about us, right? This is, you know, equity issue, what's happening or
Hmm.
not in the
Hmm.
workplace, how people are being
Hmm.
treated. It's not one-sided,
Hmm.
right?
That's right.
Now,
That's right.
are there some crazy, heavy historical ramifications from some one-sidedness? Yeah,
Absolutely.
all day, all day, right?
Hmm.
But we got Google now.
Yeah, yeah. Come on
so
now. Come on
so
now. Come on
so
now.
how are
Wikipedia, you
you,
got everything. Yeah.
right? So how are we continuing to be misinformed and walking out that misinformation, right?
Because because we're allowing the least of us to be the leaders of us.
So
And
you so
we've got to
mm,
reverse the curse. We've
mm,
got to lead by example. You can't legislate morality. Okay? That's
amen.
a homegrown bun. Okay?
Right.
That's a loaf of bread that comes from home.
Mm,
Okay? That's in your own oven.
that's right.
The other side of it is that we have to be professional when we're approaching banks and financial institutions and equity markets to invest in us.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
can't go in sleight of hand. We haven't crossed every T, dotted every I. They didn't say
Right.
perfect. They
Right.
didn't say perfect. They just say, look, come to me with what you have, but don't come to me half baked.
Right.
Because if you're asking me for $4 or $5 million, to do XYZ, how much of a risk is this to me? Because you've
Right.
never had 4 or 5 million before. You
Right.
never managed budgets before. You haven't gotten a true team together, you
Mm-hmm.
know, that's
Mm-hmm.
going to go after what is needed to continue, to have me charge your account and say, here's some more funding, equity funding for you.
Yep.
What have we done? And then we won't go to our own banks.
Mm-hmm.
We won't go to our own.
Tim, you making this look, you making the editing for this conversation difficult. Tim, I ain't gonna be able to, I'm gonna have to no, let the truth be told. No, let the truth be told. So no, but you know what? I often wonder when it pertains to the fleet space. I've had conversations in recent months. Yeah, I don't have time to waste. I need to know what we need to know so we can get moving on things. So I've asked our white colleagues, are you truly interested in working with Black suppliers and providers? Quick answer, absolutely. But we can't find them, right? Sometimes I don't really believe that. But what I think the deeper reality issue is what you're mentioning right now. And it comes back to unity. It comes back to walking together as a community. Every community's got its fools, every community's got its heroes, and everything in between. It's mediocrity, whatever. But if the rest of the world doesn't see you and I working together, if the rest of the world doesn't see you and I edifying each other, building each other up, putting our engineering minds together to make better, to innovate, then why in the world should we expect that somebody else is going to want to do any of those things with us?
You're absolutely right. You're more than absolutely right. You're pinpointed to the point, because if we look at our history, and this is something and I want to get back to the equity, but if you look at our history, every time we were needed, we were put into action. I don't care if it was the Army during the Lincolns, the early 1800s. If you read what has happened, we've been very industrious. But it's always been when there was a pressure point. Okay? There was always a pressure point. And right now, America's getting to that point. It's getting to the point where I need you, brother. I need you in because these North Koreans and the Chinese and others aren't playing anymore. The Russians, they're not playing fair. So our little homes are blowing up and our little stuff is going down and we don't want to end up with nothing.
Right.
So Slim, when I knock on your door and ask you for an equity loan to help me start my business and to walk down the road with me to help me stay in business, where were you?
Yeah.
But the equity sense that we have to have is that we've got to have true plans. We got to have true plans. We can't just walk in and say, I've got stars in my eyes and here's my dream on paper.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
You just came to the championship. Act like you've been there before. Okay. Right. You didn't come to watch. You came, you got to play the game. So make sure that you are there, that guess what? That you're honest, that you're upfront. And then at that point, guess what? Don't take no for an answer. Go back and improve and improve and improve again. And don't tell me about, your age, you think you're too fat, you're too small, you can't walk, can't fix it. Okay? Yeah. Fix it. Slim. Go back and fix it. Because somebody's watching you. And these kids and these youngins out here ain't taking you anymore for what you're saying.
They won't, what they say, they want receipts?
No, man. They want to see the camera.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
They want your walk. They want your life out before then.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear you talk about, yeah, I was this, I was that. Oh, that's beautiful. Who are you now?
Right, right.
You know what I mean? What can you do for me now? The problem that we have, Brother Zay, is that we don't want to hang with big boys. There's a fear of failure, but there's also a fear of success. We won't challenge ourselves to be the best.
And look,
And that's
okay,
what we
see,
have to do.
Tim, you got to quit. You just, we're going to have to, this is like a two-parter, fam, because look, what you just said, and I'm hearing this common thread through everything you're saying, is stewardship.
Absolutely.
And stewardship
Absolutely.
is synonymous with responsibility,
Absolutely.
right?
Come on.
And so,
Come
hey,
on.
I'm gifted with X, or I've been
Mm-hmm.
given X. What am I gonna do with it? And what
There you
you
go.
just said is, ooh, I look, I might have A through Z, but I ain't really trying to do nothing with it because
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
afraid. I may be more afraid. See, we're used to failure. We're used to
Absolutely.
rejection. We're used to
Come on.
being
Come on.
discounted,
Come on.
right? That's commonplace. That's not even second nature. That's first nature, unfortunately, right?
Absolutely.
But to challenge your notion, I'm thinking, okay, all right, family, what can we do, Black people, to expose the success that we have at whatever scale, whatever level, so that we can start getting used to that, so that we're no longer dodging success or throwing away our
Come on.
giftedness, our educations that we do have,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the case may, our money, our time,
Mm-hmm. Come on.
because we're afraid of the goodness that we're facing, right?
Absolutely.
No,
See.
that's a human issue. That's a human
Absolutely.
issue. Yeah, I'm not, because I don't want anybody who's listening to think, oh well, they, them over there. No, that's a human issue. And
No,
I've
no, no.
seen plenty of, and look, I'm chewing on it every day. That's why the text that you send me, because I told you, you my OG, Tim, and you really do provide some sincere pastoral care for me, and I really appreciate it. And I'm more than glad to let the world know that. So whoever's listening, know that this man is special to me, because he encourages me with the best words, with the best action, and ain't afraid to set me straight as well. And so, but I'm looking at what you're talking about every single day. That's the challenge. Waking up every day is okay. I know I have the tools to win.
Mm-hmm.
Am I gonna run this ball as hard as I can with the goal line in sight? Yeah.
Come on now. Yeah, because see, the principle is kind of simple. It's something that we say a lot, but I'm sure, and I tell my wife all the time, we don't know the meaning of the word love. Just love. See, love isn't love until you give it away. Until you exchange it. Until you exchange it. It means just like your money. You can take your money, it's made of paper. You can burn it up. It means nothing. It means nothing to nobody. It's a pile of ash.
That's right.
But when you go to exchange it, it means something.
Yeah.
Love ain't love until you give it away. It was given to you to be given away so that others can grow inside of where they're going. Now, sometimes you can't divorce your kids. Okay?
Please don't.
And divorce is real. Sometimes you have to divorce yourself from some people once you understand and see, because you can't turn a blind eye and know that they're cheating and they're doing, and then it's what you just said, is that accountability, okay? And we've got to be able to measure what we manage. We got to see measured success in what we're managing, because without it, we're just a dream. You have a vision. I want to be here. I want to go there. I want to be here by then. I want to be there by then. You're measuring your success. You're measuring what you're doing. It doesn't mean that you're going to make all of the steps the right way or get there overnight, but you're in the fight, bro. You may take a few blows, just, as my father used to say, son, hook off your jab and keep your chin low, and when you get a chance, fire, because what's happening is we have guns full of bullets, but we're not firing anything. We're just talking. We're talking about these types of things. I'm waiting for Zay. My challenge to Zay is Zay, when are we going to want to go? When are we going to go to this equity bank and say, we want to catapult what we're doing to the next dimension? And he's ready to lead and say, let's do this. Then we're going to go get some equity partners, not just the ones that are surfacing us now, but the ones that take us to the true next. For instance, you have diamond dealers who are in fleets now who happen to be African American. Okay? And some of them I know personally. You also have others who are starting to grow progressively in the South, where as congenial to us growing and selling certain products. But now, the fruits are ripened on the tree and they're ready for picking. The challenge for us is we've got to go in and we've got to make sure that we all grow. Then that way, excuse me for saying this, but I don't care what the color space is, because it's going to get all mixed up anyway. All of it has its purpose. All of it does. This is needed and very much needed now. What you're doing is so needed. I pray for you, my brother. And that ain't no joke. I pray for you, my brother, because I see where your heart and mind have made a connection. Most of them, the heart is in one place, but the mind is another. But you made a connection in purpose, and you're driving it. And if you ever run out of energy, I'm going to show up on your doorstep with some pills or something. But I'm going to be there. But I don't want you to ever think that we take for granted what you're doing, because we're all in this. And this equity space is a needed thing. Access to capital so we can move it along. Not so we can buy new cars or bigger houses or live this, but to spread the love.
Yes.
We've got to invest. Yeah. We got talents and we've got experience and we know what we're doing. So let's move the ball so that our legacies can speak for us.
I love you, Tim Fitzgerald.
Love you too, my brother.
Man. Well, we're going to do this again. We're gonna do this again, Tim.
It'll be on you.
And hey, that look, that's how many challenges you gonna give me now? Shoot.
Well, I mean, being as though I do it through prayer, and He gives me something to give you. If I don't give it to you, my hands look kind of dirty. So I'm tired of doing it, man.
Fair enough. Fair enough. No, and I heard your challenge. I gladly accept it, knowing that I'm not alone. And I say that from a vertical as well as horizontal standpoint. For those who know what I'm saying, And well, Tim, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you, man, over the years. And for those who are listening, Tim Fitzgerald is one of the first Black people I met in the fleet industry nearly 10 years ago. When I was a pup in the industry, and your graciousness and your consistency have never waned. And even our banter, our joking. It's just, I don't know, you're like home, Tim, and I really appreciate that, man. And I've been saying I'm coming to DC. I'm coming to DC. I told my wife, I said I got to get to DC. I'm gonna spend 2, probably 3 days with Tim, and and so I don't think my ears aren't open because they are, and I'm coming soon. So let me get back stateside, and let's go ahead and plan to get that on the calendar.
My brother, enjoy your time. Whenever you're ready, I'm here. I look forward to it, and I thank you for allowing me this opportunity to at least speak some tidbits, into the microphone. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, Tim, for gracing us with your words, man, and your experience. Let's keep it moving.
Absolutely, sir. We have no choice, given the choices we have.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Oh, my goodness.